Hello, I'm Richard Gisbert. You're at The Listening Post. This week, Silvio Berlusconi, Rupert Murdoch, and the media in Italy.
Patrizia da Dario è arrivata qui in procura.
Tales of New York.
I had a little story that I would like to tell you.
Confessions of infidelity and accusations of blackmail from a talk show comedian. Drilling deep into the Egyptian blogosphere with Wael Abbas and the rednecks who aren't really.
Might be a little bit racist.
On racism, Barack Obama, and the American media. Tens of thousands of people were on the streets of Rome recently protesting against government and the media. In this case, they were demonstrating against one person, Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi. Because in some ways, Berlusconi is the media in Italy. Between the television channels Berlusconi, the businessman, owns and the channels Berlusconi, the prime minister, has power over, 6 of the 7 terrestrial channels in Italy are under Silvio Berlusconi's control. And when Berlusconi doesn't like what newspapers say about him, like the coverage of his recent marital troubles, he tends to sue them. That's what the demonstrators were protesting about. They accuse their prime minister/media magnate of muzzling what media he does not control. Enter stage right Rupert Murdoch, the conservative head of News Corporation, whose global media holdings make Berlusconi's look puny. The monopolistic Murdoch is out to break Berlusconi's Italian TV monopoly. Our starting point this week, the Murdoch-Berlusconi battle in Italy, a fight that's all over the newspapers, the airwaves, and is now heading to the courts.
The right to know, the right to inform.
The demonstration was called by the National Association of Journalists.
Tens of thousands of Italians have come here to defend the press's freedom of speech.
It was an unusual protest because we never had demonstrations in defense of the freedom of the press in Italy.
And immobilizing people into the streets.
This is a complicated story that revolves around 2 very wealthy, very powerful men. Silvio Berlusconi and Rupert Murdoch of News Corp, the owner of, among many other media outlets, Sky TV and Sky Italia.
Italy's TV industry has always been a duopoly between the state broadcaster RAI and the Berlusconi family's Mediaset operations. And several companies have tried over the years to break in, and really News Corp, Sky Italia, is the first company that's actually succeeded.
However, the Murdoch angle is a relatively recent one in the Berlusconi media story. The Italian owns 3 private channels, Italia 1, Channel 4, and Channel 5. And as Prime Minister, he has effective control of 3 state-funded channels, and he's not shy about flexing his media muscle.
Berlusconi uses television as his private mouthpiece, and I think it is something that is starting to concern the international media and the international public opinion.
Italy is a very television-centered country. About 80% of the population claim to receive their only political information through television. Newspaper readership is relatively limited.
Still, the Prime Minister is quite sensitive about what is written about him. When a reporter from l'Unità, a leftist newspaper, asked Berlusconi about the recent sex scandal that has effectively ended his marriage, the tension was palpable.
Ha intenzione di rispondere a CNN, ha detto che spiegherà tutto. È un problema internazionale.
A lei non rispondo perché ho nei confronti del suo giornale una disistima totale. Punto. Vuole che continuiamo?
No, risponderà a CNN.
Così. Ma lasci perdere, per favore. Dai.
In May of this year, another liberal Italian daily, La Repubblica, wanted to interview Berlusconi about that same story. He refused. Since then, the paper has printed on a daily basis 10 questions for him, such as when and how often did he meet with one of the women, and did he use state-owned aircraft to fly other women to private parties.
Not only didn't answer these questions, but he sued La Repubblica, asking 1 million euros in damages. And it's a very unusual thing that has been noted by international press, that a prime minister sues a newspaper not for something that has been written, for an editorial, but for questions that he describes as insulting and defamatory.
Berlusconi has urged advertisers to boycott newspapers he does not like, and given that he's the prime minister, the advertisers have good reason to listen. He doesn't really have to worry about television coverage of the scandal, since the channels he controls stay away from the story. However, one channel, Rupert Murdoch's Sky Italia, is different.
Sì, Patrizia D'Addario è arrivata qui in procura.
Addirittura anche le croce dei vestiti.
Parte la maggioranza che va in soccorso.
So absolutely, the sex scandal over the summer was presented by Sky News Television in a way that no television in Italy has presented. This has angered Berlusconi, undoubtedly, and has also offered Italians an opportunity to directly be connected to the European-wide discussions on the recent sex scandals.
Non mi sono pentita affatto.
And also last month, News Corp, or Sky Italia, launched a lawsuit in the Italian courts against Publitalia, Mediaset's advertising sales arm, alleging that Publitalia was refusing to sell advertising space for Sky Italia on the Mediaset channels.
Of course, the Prime Minister is retorting that Sky and Murdoch have a personal point against him. There is a commercial battle behind this, but it's actually the way we see it, the other way around. I mean, Murdoch is saying that Berlusconi has limited the freedom of his TV networks and, in general, other TV networks to gain a larger part of the Italian market.
Murdoch has launched the legal case not just in Italy, he's also taking it to the European Court of Justice. This past week, the EU Parliament was debating a resolution on media freedom in Italy and will vote on it later this month. This is a live issue for the European Commission, given that it has been so critical of Turkey, which has applied for EU membership but has been told that it cannot join until it has a free media.
It is weird, it is strange that there is a certain set of rules for joining the EU, and Italy, according to many foreign organizations and many foreign observers, wouldn't be able to join the EU by today's standards.
Because of Berlusconi. And more to the point, when the EU criticizes foreign leaders further afield, such as Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, for their records on freedom of the press, why should anyone listen, as long as Silvio Berlusconi is pulling so many of the media strings in the heart of Europe? Our Global Village Voices now on the mess in the Italian media.
In a very dark moment of his reign, Berlusconi again is using his media to throw his personal troubles in the political debate. These days his media portray me as the poor victim of a communist plot to steal the power from him.
European Union leaders cannot at the same time asking countries like Russia or Burma or Iran to respect freedom of the press and tolerate a situation like the one in Italy these days. We asked European Parliament first and then European Union leaders to strongly condemn the situation in Italy.
If you'd like to join our growing list of Global Village Voices, there's more than one way to go about it. You can let us know by emailing us at listeningpost@aljazeera.net, but most contributors just go on Facebook and hook up with us through the Listening Post page there. We have more than 2,300 viewers signed up. You can also follow us through Twitter. We will let you know via Facebook and Twitter what stories we're working on and how you can add your voice to the mix. Some quick hits on the media now, Listening Post News Bites. American television viewers usually tune into David Letterman's Late Show on CBS to get a few laughs and catch some celebrity interviews. These days, they're hearing about infidelity, blackmail, and a legal drama that involves the host of the program himself.
I have a little story that I would like to tell you.
Letterman went on the air October 1st and told his audience he was the target of a blackmail plot, that someone had tried to extort $2 million from him over affairs that he had had with women on his staff. Police have arrested Joe Halderman, a CBS producer who has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Until recently, Halderman was reported to have been in a relationship with Stephanie Burkett, a producer on The Letterman Show, and one of the women with whom Letterman had reportedly been involved. CBS immediately suspended Halderman.
Well, I bet our next guest is dying to get out here.
Letterman, meanwhile, who has a reputation for lambasting public figures over their private lives, including their sex lives, has seen his ratings go through the roof. China wants to become a player in global media, and not just through its government-run outlets. China's State Council has laid out an ambitious plan to help develop media and entertainment companies that it wants to compete with Western-based media giants like Time Warner and Viacom. The new plan would create entertainment and news outlets with a greater market orientation, which is a departure from the government-backed approach we've seen till now that has created outlets like CCTV, the state-run English-language channel China beams out to the world. However, China's not abandoning the state-run model. It says it wants to upgrade outlets like CCTV, as well as foreign-language print publications to reach audiences overseas. In Morocco, the Akhbar Al-Youm newspaper has been shut down over a cartoon it published of Prince Moulay Ismail celebrating his wedding. The cartoon shows the prince at a podium waving against a backdrop of the Moroccan flag. However, the flag's been altered, with the normal Wiccan star replaced by what looks to be the Star of David. The government has reportedly charged the newspaper with disrespecting a member of the royal family, and the prince is also suing for defamation. The New York-based Committee to Protect Journalists has condemned the closure of the paper, said that it's part of an escalating campaign by the Moroccan government to silence critical journalists. There are signs from Moscow that the Kremlin is still feeling sensitive about the case of Anna Politkovskaya, the Russian journalist who was murdered back in 2006. There was a news event held in the Russian capital this past week to mark the 3rd anniversary of the murder, which remains unsolved. 2 representatives of the media freedom group, Reporters Without Borders, tried to attend, but they were refused entry. The head of the group, Jean-François Julliard, sent this message to his Russian colleagues via the web.
We will never forget Anna Politkovskaya, and we will never stop asking for the truth.
Politkovskaya was a determined journalist. It's believed that she was killed for her critical reporting of the Kremlin's policy in Chechnya. Russia ranks 141st of the 173 countries on Reporters Without Borders Index on press freedom. The group produced this cartoon on the state of the media in Russia. It's entitled Russian School of Journalism. We're back after the break with one of the most influential voices in the Arabic blogosphere, Wael Abbas of Egypt.